I will now introduce our next three speakers who join us from Westminster College, Pennsylvania, USA, to discuss exploring STEM conceptual convergence through children's literature. Okay, that sounds great. Okay, so the speakers are Rene Pico. He is an associate professor of education and chair of School of Education at Westminster College. His teaching areas are English language learners and science methods in schools. His research has focused on deconstructing the social construct of race in education. Our second speaker is a student, Alexis Shiderly, senior at Westminster College, is completing a degree in early childhood and special education. She serves as the president of Little Library Students Organization, is an active in the Council of Exceptional Children. Katelynn McCurdy, the third speaker, is a senior at Westminster College. She's also completing a degree in early childhood and special education. Supported by Drinko Center grant, she traveled to the Dominican Republic, serving as a medical assistant, educator, and translator. We're excited to hear from you, Rene Pico and Alexis. Alexis, Katelynn, and you have 30 minutes. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to mention that Alexis and Katelynn are not able to be here today. Today was their last day of pre-student teaching, and they begged me that they didn't want to miss their goodbyes with the students and their teachers. So I am representing them but the presentation will show many of their work. So they have been collaborating in my science methods course, and I will share my presentation with you in a second. Hold on. Whoops. Here we go. Good. So my presentation and our presentation, Katie's and Lexi, her nickname is Lexi, and it's an exploration of the STEAM conceptual convergence through children's literature. So we have taken the opportunity to look at children's literature in the US, especially available to us, multicultural literature in science and mathematics and engineering. I'm glad that I came after the colleague from Australia because she provided the backdrop, the background that I needed. So we are all collaborators. Katelynn and Lexi have been working very hard on their projects and the collection of evidence and implementation of these activities in their classroom. So I thank them a lot, and I thank Western Galilee College for this opportunity that was given to the three of us to present today. So I will share. Let me go to. Uh, I should have done that the first thing. Let me stop here for a moment, and I will go to the chat, and I will share. Oops, not that. The link to my folder so you can get additional information. Sorry for this little delay.
Don't worry about it, Rene.
Uh, Here we are. So there is the link to my drive, and all my forms and presentation in different formats are available to you for your use. So let me go back to my presentation here. So the abstract is there, including some quotations, etc. Um, Convergence of knowledge has been something that it's innate in most kids. I mean, even taking my example as a little kid playing with marbles, we knew that throwing the marble in different directions will give us the desired outcome without knowing about degrees, about the type of angles we wanted. We just played and knew that there was some specific way of doing certain things that will produce a specific outcome. So as technology developed, this is back for my generation, Atari came up with a almost similar to tennis game. And the same knowledge was transferred from playing marbles to playing the digital tennis game. We knew that a specific hit will produce a specific reaction against the wall or against the opponent. And we could direct the specific puck in different directions, regardless if we knew exactly which angle we wanted, we knew exactly what we were doing. Um, in the classroom, integration of knowledge and the expression of those pieces of information in an authentic way, it's a little hard. Especially in the United States. My students go to schools for their field experiences in a region that lacks science, social studies education as part of their curriculum, possibly until second or third grade. They touch base on some specific concepts here and there, but never as a subject matter in their schedule. Um, However, here's some summary of research based on curriculum convergence and integration. It explores the social realist approach to knowledge. We gather knowledge from playing with things, exploring with things, having an opportunity to um, go beyond the expected goal that was set for us. We also play with the students' ability to transfer, connect, and learn. So curriculum integration impacts those pieces of information. It's a conditioning process. It's not something that happens immediately. And I saw in the chat some comments about, but it needs to be, the content needs to be there, how do they develop such a specific big map of content for the previous presentation. And it's something that takes additional time in the classroom. It's not a lesson that we teach and we follow through the next one and the next one. They're also developed through a logical demand and modes of inquiry. So we need to make sure that our students fall into that constructivist approach and use their specific innate desires to explore and learn more. However, teachers overwhelmingly believe that there is good effect of integration, but they're not prepared for it. Integrated curriculum is missing from the schools, and teacher preparation programs do not target the integration of knowledge. Here at Westminster, we do things differently in our science methods, and we try to approach the literature, the writing, the reading, the social studies, methods courses in the same way. So for the educator and even the teacher in the classroom, pinpointing those areas of convergence is a game that has to be played very well. We need to look at different factors that impact the curriculum, the time in the school, the specific populations that we have, the demands of the technology and society. Um, it's funny, this is a map that we saw that would represent, for example, the mind map of how students think. And I saw the other products of STEM in the previous presentation. And we can see that the students think way beyond the expectations of the lesson plan. Sometimes they do their own research, sometimes they produce their own specific terms for it. They organize their own mind map of how they see specific conceptual frameworks. For the teacher, however, we want to make those intersections explicit, not only explicit, but very well calculated. So we sometimes put, and you can substitute any of these.
Rene, sorry to interrupt you. Are we supposed to see your slides?
Yeah.
Because we don't.
Oh, somebody should have. Oh my goodness.
We were discussing in the WhatsApp whether to interrupt you.
We didn't want to interfere.
Oh, no problem. Oh my
We
goodness. Here
saw
we
that you
go.
were so much engaged in it, so we didn't want to interfere.
Misha, you're laughing already for me. So here we are. So let me go back. So it's okay. This is the graphic I was presenting about how, for example, the educator's mind has some difficulties pinpointing those areas or zones of convergence. Again, almost mimicking the presentation from the previous presenter. Students do put into very specific mind maps all the knowledge that they bring, sometimes even make up some knowledge. For the educator, and this is what we do in our courses, we prepare students to deliberately and explicitly make those areas of convergence. How do we click? Which pieces do we match to our literacy pieces? And that's what we encourage our students to do. So on the right-hand side, you see the textbook, the children's story, the science story for the student, and we're trying to match that piece to go into that story. Sometimes we don't have to read the entire children's story. We can just read a portion of the story that relates to the science, social studies, or other area, art. That's why we call it STEAM, because we want the art component into it. So if we want to provide some examples, let's do it. Let me provide some examples of what we do in our methods courses here at Westminster College. We follow a specific outline for us to identify, of course, the grade level. It's the most important piece that needs to be considered, because that will give us the opportunity to know exactly the cognitive and the psychomotor and emotional state of our students in order for us to integrate those pieces of knowledge. We look at the specific topic that we want, the vocabulary words that we want to teach that day. We also encourage our students to use a children's dictionary because it explains concepts just for the kids. So it's very important for them. We also need to look at what is the specific content um, that needs to be addressed based on the state standards here. And then we develop an activity, and of course the activity involves an assessment component, so we can not only acquire the information we need in terms of the skills that we develop, but also the content knowledge that we want our students to acquire. Here's one, for example, The Story of a Cell is a storybook that we use. Of course, introduce the topic of the cell as the single basic component of every organic and then we go over the vocabulary terms. We sometimes use etymology to look at the origin of the word so people understand and have a connection not only with the word itself, but also with the history of the humankind in terms of where the word comes from. The content, the activity, and the assessment. In this case, the students choose an art project in which the cell is used. We build a model of the cell based on the story of the cell book and the components of the story. And then the students have to identify each of the components that they know, explain their function and how a cell works. So all of that is done with simple materials and regular glue. So the second one is the bones. So here's another story for the skeletal system. And we ask our students to recognize the different bones of the hand. And then we provide an opportunity for them to build their own. So we use simple materials again. We also assess the specific terminology. So what does it mean to use what's a metacarpal and what's an interphalangeal? And we go back to that origin of the word to look at the history and the classics and how does that word made it into our bones and the structure that we define today. Another one would be, and this one integrates technology because our students are into the Minecraft games. So we use the biomes around the world with a bulletin board that is an interactive bulletin board, and the students create their own biomes. And again, we introduce the subject areas, the topic, the vocabulary, the content, the activity, and then the assessment. The assessment in this case is the mindset outcome that allows the students to showcase what type of biome it is, the type of organisms that live, the chains that exist in the specific. Another one for a little bit higher elementary school or even middle school is the mathematical ratios and measurements. The students create their own human figure in wire. So this becomes an exhibition of art of its own. So we look at the story of how, for example, a librarian measured the size of the earth, and then we translate the mathematical concepts of ratio and measurement to our bodies. And we use the Vitruvian Man as part of this specific activity. So another one, this one was put together by a group of students who decided to do a recycling lesson. Also, they used the bulletin board as an activity. They take the students through different stations in the bulletin board, and at the end, they create their own paper crane. They also studied, if you see the picture, they have different QR codes. They study the Japanese culture. They look at stories from the Japanese origami procedures and processes and the steps of creating art through paper. And of course, the purpose is to use recyclable paper in order for them to create the cranes and the art. So curriculum lacks in the schools that allow people to connect these pieces. Um, um, One of the curriculum books that we use is Growing Up Wild. We get trained in this curriculum by the Department of Natural Resources here in Pennsylvania, and it provides opportunities because this curriculum is integrated. It talks about nutrition and science. It talks about the environment and science. It talks about pets and wild animals in many ways, and everything goes to either art, technology, engineering, and we love it. It's for ages 3 to 7, so it goes from pre-K, and it's a free document that you can download from online through the government site for Growing Up Wild. So let's